Zoom out, you
man.
can see that's the map. But if you get down to the right, you can see what's going on those mesas. Well, you got a wall there, and then you've got pyramids being built right on top of the cut mesas, and they're all in a row like tree stumps from a forest.
Yeah, I mean, the whole world was tropical. Time frames are kind of interesting. I think there's been 3 or 4 polarity flips, and each one was a little different. I think not too long ago, the world was populated with giant trees. You know, everyone here is familiar with that concept. And just like in a modern day rainforest of today, yeah, the trees create a canopy. And, the vapor canopy hypothesis has been around. And I hate using the word hypothesis because there's quite a few well written books from the late 1800s, early 1900s about the vapor canopy, showing it was more of a fact. And I think it was very much related to the giant trees.
Yeah.
And just like animals and people of today, the trees create that vapor canopy. So I think the vapor canopy was related to the giant trees, similar to the idea that pyramids were built to house people to survive not just a flood, but perhaps a polarity shift. That trees used to be how we survived them. Still to this day, especially in Florida, shout out over Florida, cypress trees are hollow. About a third of the tree is hollow. And when they have a hurricane and big flooding, all the animals go inside the tree to survive the hurricanes and the floods.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I think just like in the rainforest in the Amazon today, 80% of all life in the Amazon lives in, on, or around the trees. And just like the movie Avatar, I've said on Old World Florida with Longo that I think that movie was about as real of a past Earth experience as we've had, and that we were living in and amongst the trees. And, we were giants, 20, 30, 40 feet tall, but these trees were, 4, 5, 6, 10 miles tall, some maybe larger. And when these cyclical weather events would happen, we would just go inside the tree and it would protect us, just like the animals do today.
Major part of George Lucas's story, of course, of the Wookiees. They are the wild men from the Renaissance paintings, right? We've shown the wild men Renaissance paintings where they're covered in fur, right? They're tall giants that are covered in fur. If you haven't figured out, Chewbacca is what he is. And then he lives on Kashyyyk, which I can't spell. Oh, it's got 3 Y's. Sorry about that. Kashyyyk is a giant redwood planet with vapor canopy where everyone lives in the trees. It's kind of like the Ewok village, but way bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And that gets destroyed by the Empire. And this is, because George Lucas covered his originally Starwalker was a Mayan astrology symbol as well.
Maybe do you want to show some of what is it, Hell's Peak or no, the stumps of what the big trees would be, like the remnants of them.
This is a pretty great representation of what I was just saying here.
That's crazy. I haven't even noticed that yet. Oh my gosh, I feel it.
And this could just as easily be Cairo. It's hard to see, but if you look on the right side here, this is a drawing of Cairo from the 1500s. And if you look at on the right side here, this would be the quote unquote Giza Plateau. And you can see all the pyramids are built on top of what look like old tree stumps. And this is like I think they build pyramids on top of tree stumps.
Wow. Okay.
That's fascinating.
Graham Hancock has talked about how the Giza Plateau is so laser perfectly flat that it would take some kind of device cutting it down. But that's the same thing you see with these mesas all over the world.
Here, I got a larger version of that picture. Let me throw it for a second because it's kind of interesting. Zoom out,
Wow,
you can see
man.
that's the map. But if you get down to the right, you can see what's going on those mesas. Well, you got a wall there, and then you've got pyramids being built right on top of the cut mesas, and they're all in a row like tree stumps from a forest. And then there's
Mhm.
all this
No
going on.
way.
Yeah, and the statue head too, I think, is reminiscent of, someone in the stump. If you go down, you'll see the statue head on top of the tree stump at the bottom, right?
Oh yeah, wow. Okay, hold
So it's
on.
kind of symbolizing to me that the rest of his body is in the tree, kind of like the people are below in the
Oh,
tree.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
look at
They
that.
would
That
have just
totally
used- they
looks
would have
like
just-
on the giant tree stumps.
mhm. Yeah. And
This
like I
is
was saying, that the animals retreat into the trees during storms and floods.
retreat. That's very nice, isn't
Mhm. And
it?
this is one of my long threads about that I hypothesized Noah built the pyramids on top of ancient tree stumps
Starmade
before-
Productions. Yes, this is live. Thank you for asking.
before they were all chopped down. This is
Sounds
an article
like-
from the 1880s. This author is talking about that the Great Pyramids are the real Noah's Ark, and that they were all structures designed as entrances and exits for underground labyrinths that people lived in during the floods.
Of course.
And he provides a lot of really good evidence about all the pyramids on the plateaus have salt to up to a certain level. And I'll show you another. So yeah, I have tons of, endless pyramids.
This is really fascinating because we remember we were talking about Krakatoa and the lighthouse and surviving in a tower that might have been maybe an ancient tower now. I mean, at the time, I thought it was like a silly story that he could live in a tower covered by a tsunami, but that's kind of what all these reset stories are about.
Yeah, and when you think of like magic, and a sorcerer would use a tree, just like an antenna. And I think the Tower of Babel was a tree.
Or built on it, at least. Look at that. Right?
Yeah. So this
Yeah.
is a picture from a railroad map in 1844. So 1844, and this is a pyramid in a lake.
By the way,
in
they've
California.
removed the pyramid from Pyramid Lake. If you go there now, you won't find the pyramid, but you will find yourself about 10 minutes or 20 from Burning Man. And people go swimming in Pyramid Lake say that you can go through a portal and end up on the other side of Tahoe and a few other lakes. Not
So
necessarily
here's what's
portal.
fascinating. This is actually not Pyramid Lake.
Oh, really?
Really, yeah, I dug into this and I actually found it. Here it is right here. This is in Pyramid Lake, Nevada.
Oh.
So Nevada was a territory. It didn't exist in 1844. So Upper California became Nevada. So here it is.
Can you
And
go click on
it's
that?
it's been absolutely melted.
Wow.
Um,
That is insane.
I've seen that one before, right? Like that pyramid in Nevada.
correct.
I
here's-
believe there's a sphinx close by it too.
There's all kinds of crazy stuff here at this lake. And when they were first exploring it in the late 1840s, they talked about how the whole area was surrounded. It looked like a giant city, and there was what looked like cement on all these different structures. Hopefully I can find. I have another great article about this that describes or reaffirms what I was saying about the pyramids being survival. So here's the original map that has the excerpt here on the right hand side, the pyramid. I'm not seeing it, but it talks about how there was a giant inland sea, and this pyramid would have been the very center of that inland sea, with 100 feet of it sticking out. So if you study the Benben stone, it basically is the capstone of a pyramid, and it's a lodestone. And so the Benben stone, again, you have the reset symbology. You have Noah's Ark, right? Ark of the Covenant, magnetism, reset. And you have the people going below ground to survive a cataclysm. Kind of sums it all up. So you have this
and a
lake.
changing water level too. I mean, look at the height of this where they're standing and the mountains behind it compared to the photo you have. And you can
Oh,
see the
yeah.
water level
It's-
change too.
Exactly. Not only that, you can see how well this was still very much. You could see the stones, the
Right.
individual bricks, and there was another event since that picture was taken.
Like a Napoleonic shooting at the Sphinx Mormon invasion, or
Mhm.
was that okay?
Something along those lines. I think it would be comet related.
Interesting.
But yeah. So yeah, this area is hugely military, deep
Right.
underground bases. So this, just like there were articles in the 1800s about miles and miles and miles and miles of tunnels under the Giza Plateau. So if we're thinking, like I was saying and suggesting, when trees petrify, the channels, the veins, which is where we get modern mining, because mining today is biogeology, as Stellium has done a fantastic job of showing, and I'm a huge supporter of that, just like in the movie Avatar.
And that dude Chardin, who discovered the the Homo giganticus, was into, right?
Right. And when human and living tissue petrifies, it turns into gold, silver, crystal. And so, and as I've postulated on Old World Florida's channel and shown fairly reasonable evidence, at the bottom of these giant trees were graves. And so it was customary to plant a tree on top of a grave. China has, in Japan, the pagoda. Pagodas are built on top of graves. I think they're symbolical, kind of representing the afterlife, the spirit becoming, a new living representation, as above, so below type of thing. But like in the movie Avatar, when the humans come mining, where is the mineral that they need to power their ships and their weapons? It's at the base of the tree. So giants, titans, when they die or be petrified, they become minerals, all kinds of different minerals. So they're mining titans. And petrified trees, petrified sap. When sap petrifies, it becomes many different minerals as well. So the modern mining industry of today is biogeological mining. It's not riverbed, all these different layers decomposing, becoming coal, and all these things. That's not how it works. It's biogeology, and the language they use in mining reaffirms that. But yeah, get me back on topic.
Right. Well, it's a good point, though, of the mining and all the underground tunnels literally all over the world. Like all the different indigenous cultures have these verbal stories passed down and legends. Like, for instance, in the Grand Canyon, the Hopi of the underground cities to survive the catastrophe of the Ant people, which is right close to Nevada there in that lake and all the military bases. And then Michael Tellinger's work from South Africa and all of the old mining shafts and tunnels and whatnot throughout that area. And like you said, in Egypt, there's rumors and legends and stories that keep popping up of the underground city tunnels throughout there. And it just seems to be everywhere. It's like we're in this Futurama world of past cultures below us, just levels upon levels upon levels.